who's suffering from it, they are going to feel their heartbeat, and it's very painful. All right, so the issue has to be addressed, and that's what it's referring to. It's referring to this sac that is surrounding the heart, which is giving it a protection, some help in the heart's ability to move. So this double wall, like I've been trying to point out, it's going to be anchored by those ligaments to the diaphragm and to the sternum, helping to anchor it, hold it in place. Also, the sac that is surrounding it isolates the heart. It's isolating it from the lungs and the thoracic cavity, meaning it is in its own space. Sometimes the fluid can build up around the heart. They have to actually go in and remove it. Okay, different conditions can lead to that. So that outer layer is very fibrous. The inner layer is also known as being visceral, because if we look at our heart, the outer layer is going to be where we've got our attachments. We've got the outer part of the sac, but the inner layer is going to run with the contours of the heart. So that one is visceral, because the heart is viscera. It's an organ. So it's very well protected. A couple of other things being shown in this picture. This is the actual heart muscle. I know. Why am I pointing that out? Take that little part off of your heart. And all of the stuff that's in the middle, because note, you've got what looks like a different lining on the sides of it, okay? This part that's in the middle is the actual cardiac muscle. So this is our myocardium. This is the part that contracts. Okay? When we have a cardiac arrest, when you look at this structure of the heart, okay, and this is going to be one of the things we get to, note all the blood vessels. But see, here's the thing. These blood vessels that you see feeding the heart muscle, their circulation is very specific. When someone has cardiac arrest, or what we know as a heart attack, or also known as myocardial infarction, okay, blood supply is cut off. And that means any of these tissues, meaning the cells themselves and these tissues surrounding it, blood supply is cut off. And here's the problem. When that happens to the heart, blood supply does not return. So wherever that blood supply stopped, okay, whatever part of the heart it affected, the blood supply does not go back to that area. Okay, which we're going to get to. But that's what happens in a heart attack. The blood supply stops. And some cases, you can walk around having small heart attacks and never know it. You have, when you actually have, like, you know, the pain and the clutching, okay, that's when you're knowing it. Or passing out, that's when you're knowing it. But you can actually be walking around and having small heart attacks and never know it. It's not until the big one that you actually know it. So the anatomy becomes very important for the heart. Our heart wall, like I was saying, when you look at this structure, and don't forget, now, when we take that little piece off, we're looking at ventricles, okay? But we've got our atria to deal with also. So we've got our atria, we've got our ventricles. The wall, meaning areas such as this, okay? Just like everything else we have talked about in in part 1, part 2, 3 layers. Okay? So far, have we talked about anything yet that didn't have 3 layers? Everything has 3 layers. Inner, middle, outer. Our epi, the outer, is our visceral. In the last picture, did you see that second part of the pericardial sac running right there with the outer portion of the heart? Okay? Epicardium, the serous membrane of that external heart surface, made up mostly of simple squamous epithelium. If we've got the serous material, all that sort of stuff, simple squamous is good for that. Okay? If you remember all of the tissue types where we had, do you happen to remember what that means? Simple squamous? How many layers does simple mean? 1. What structure was squamous? Do what, Nick?
So was that the one that's like a rectangle or a square?
They're flat and look like fried egg. The nucleus is usually very big and bumpy, okay? Their cells are usually flat and kind of not a perfect circle, okay? And they're only 1 layer. Those cells are excellent for diffusion and secretion and that sort of thing. How about if it may have been, well, how about cuboidal? Cubes, right? Okay. How about columnar? The long, okay? So squamous are going to be the ones that are those fried egg looking. That's the best way that I can describe them, sunny side up. Endocardium, this is lining interior of the heart chambers. Something that I've tried to point out, okay? If you look at this that you've got, you should see they're trying to use the 2 different shades of the color, okay? And the lining to that interior side, that is endo, to the inside. Once again, simple squamous, covers the valve surfaces. Okay, if you take your model that you've got and kind of turn it upside down, and do you see how they're kind of showing this stuff right here that looks like it's kind of got strings and stuff attached to it? That's a valve, okay? And then if you kind of look to areas on the inside where it looks like little flaps, okay? Those are valves. So my endo is covering these valves also. Okay? Myocardium, between the two, all right, this is my cardiac muscle. What you see on the inside is my cardiac muscle. What do you notice about it between the right side of the heart and the left side? Hold on, Kayla, let me close the door. I couldn't hear. Do what, Kay? Seems to be thicker on one side versus the other. It is. There's a reason. Can you think of a reason? I haven't told you yet, so I wouldn't expect you to know it.
Say, ask that again.
It's thicker on one side than the other.
Does it do with like the amount of blood coming in, or that has to be pumped out?
Not so much the amount, but where it has to be pumped. Alex?
The left ventricle goes to the body.
Okay.
The heart to lungs, which is closer. So you need more pressure.
You were right. The left goes to the body, not to the lungs. The right goes to the lungs. And we need more pressure for going to, is that what you were going to say, Kayla? Okay, so we need more pressure. Ah, there's a good term. Pressure. Heartbeats. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Okay? They refer to it as lupdo. 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 All right? Do you happen to know how that occurs?
Like the heartbeat, it's an electrical pulse that the heart does, like the SA node, the AV node, the bundles of the Purkinje fibers and stuff.
Come on up here and teach this to me today. It is really cool. Okay, it really is. Because when we look at this heartbeat, believe it or not, the heartbeat starts down here and it does this. Lub dub. It is the ability of every single cardiac cell to be able to pass that electricity, which is our ions, sodiums, phosphates, calciums, to do that so efficiently that it looks like the heart beats as one movement. And that is not what's happening whatsoever. It is every single individual cell and that ability to pass those ions so efficiently that it goes. What happens if those little electrical ions don't get passed efficiently? We can have heart murmurs. Now, a lot of times, that's going to come about due to one of these little valves, and depending on which valve it is, will determine if you need to have surgery or not. Nate?
It was kind of what she was saying. But there's something else. I forgot the name of it though, but it's a disease, or it's a not a disease, but it's a